Welcome to the Temple of Light Center for Spiritual Living in beautiful Kingston, Jamaica. I welcome you all listening to me on the World Wide Web, in Jamaica and around the world. Welcome, welcome, welcome to this service. All things begin at the temple with prayer. And I'd like you all to join me in the opening affirmative prayer of thanksgiving. God is all there is. There is nothing but God. And we give thanks right here, right now, for our realization of our unity with God, the source of all our good. We give thanks for our unity with our fellow human beings, and in fact, our unity with all of life. We know that all things come from God, all things were made by God, and all things are blessed with God. And we open our hearts, we open our minds to receive all the blessings that God is bestowing on us right here, right now. The blessings of peace, the blessings of harmony, the blessings of abundance, the blessings especially of love. And that blessings of love and all the other blessings are received here in this service. And we know that the blessings fill up the service, fill up all who are hearing it, and spill out to the rest of the world. And the world is blessed because of this service at the Temple of Light, Center for Spiritual Living. I know that as I have spoken, it is manifested, and I give thanks that this is so. Together we say, and so it is. I now have the inspirational reading, which is a tradition at our service. And it happens, this inspirational reading, just by chance, is a poem that I wrote some years ago. To do today. End a quarrel. Write a letter. Tell P sorry. Help a beggar. Keep that promise. Give a smile. Say, I love you. Walk a mile. Rake the driveway. Own my wrong. Renew a friendship. Sing a song. Forgive my neighbor. Buy a flower. Order in lunch. Takes things slower. Get home early. Call my dad. Work in garden. Thank you, God. I will now light the candle for the youth of the world. Please join me in the blessing for the youth of the world. We love you. We appreciate you. We salute the Christ in you. We see you as shining lights onto your world. God is blessing you now, and so it is. Which brings us to the announcements. Our office remains open from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Monday to Friday. You may drop off your prayer requests, tithes, offerings, and set appointments for practitioner assistance. Funds may also be transferred to our savings account, number 20941, Bank of Nova Scotia, New Kingston branch. And we now have also a PayPal account with a donate button, which you will see on our LoveStream on Facebook Live. Prayer support. Now, more than ever, we need to respond with prayer to the challenges facing all of us. Please call our prayer line at 876-978-1167 for a special prayer of peace and well-being. And if you wish to speak in person with one of our ministers, we have established a direct prayer line on which they will be available from 8 a.m. to 12 midnight, Mondays to Fridays. That number, 876-289-0907. And you can still phone in your prayer requests into our office at 876-927-6145 or 876-946-2230. Or you may email us at templeoflight@cwjamaica.com. And be sure to join us next Sunday on Mother's Day at 9 a.m. for another inspiring love stream. Our speaker for that service will be Reverend Anne Shand, and our host will be the Temple of Light young adult, Devon Barrett. Above all, let us remember that love knows nothing of social distance. And though we are not able to hold hands at this time, our hearts are still linked with our brothers and sisters all across the world. This concludes the announcements. And now, to set the theme for today's encouragement by our pastor, here is a recording of Faith Livingston singing, "If I Can Help Somebody."
It's a pleasure being here. If I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word or song, if I can show somebody he is traveling wrong, then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain. If I can help somebody as I pass along, then my living shall not be in vain. If I can do my duty as a Christian ought, if I can bring back beauty to a world abroad, if I can spread love's message that the Master taught, then my living shall not be in vain. Then my
me that that song by Faith Livingston was absolutely gorgeous. It was sung with sincerity and feeling, and I certainly was moved. Really, really beautiful, beautiful song, which takes us now to the centerpiece, as it were, of the service, the encouragement by Reverend John Scott, who is our pastor and our spiritual leader. And a little birdie told me that Reverend John is going to talk to us about setting our priorities straight. I look forward, Reverend John, to that talk. And as usual with his presentations on a Sunday morning, he always gives us an assignment. Let's listen out for what that assignment is going to be. Reverend John, over to you.
Reverend Michael, and good morning, my worldwide spiritual family. You know, these love streams remind me of those family reunions where you meet cousins and people that you have heard of or have known of but have never actually met in person. And I feel that way on a Sunday morning in our live stream, that all over the world I'm meeting cousins and relatives and people who affect my life and who hopefully their lives I can affect in a family reunion that is just redolent with love and good wishes and the energy of being together in what spiritual coach Deepak Chopra calls a sangha, a spiritual community that just encircles the entire globe. You know, author John Shea, in his book The Legend of the Bells and Other Tales, tells the story of a woman who went into a marketplace and she saw a kiosk in the market that said, God's fruit stand. And she said to herself, thank God at last. I wondered when they would come up with that. So she wanders into the fruit stand and she says, let me have a perfect peach, a perfect cantaloupe, a perfect bunch of bananas, and a crate of perfect strawberries. Well, it's God himself behind the counter, and he says, I'm so sorry, lady, I only sell seeds. Friends, when you go into mind, into the realm of spirit, seeking perfection, remember that it is already there, but it is in the form of the seeds of perfection that God has bestowed upon all of us. We all have within us the seeds which lead to the fullness of life, but we have to set our priorities and work towards them. And I guess this time of introspection and of being inside is a time when we can again revisit our priorities and decide for ourselves what's really important in our lives and in our affairs. Henry David Thoreau, the American essayist, poet, and philosopher, said, and I quote, let us spend one day as deliberately as nature and not be thrown off track by every nutshell and mosquito's wing that falls on the rails. End of that quote. I love that. Every nutshell and mosquito's wing that just happens to get in the way. Let us not be thrown off by that. Let us keep our focus on our reason for being and on the truth of who we are, God's perfect expressions, carrying within us the seed of perfection, of love and of joy. So friends, it is vital to our wholeness and our success that we clarify what is really important in our lives and affairs. And this unprecedented time in human history is providing us with the perfect opportunity to do that. The story is told in Luke chapter 9, verse 61. I love this story, that a man decided to follow Jesus and he said, just give me a moment to go home and say goodbye to my family. And Jesus said something which I've always considered to be a bit strange. He said, if you put your hand to the plow and look back, you are not fit for the kingdom of heaven. And I thought, what a harsh thing to say to somebody who wants to follow the master, but said, just give me a little time to go and put my affairs in order. But you know, if you talk to a farmer, we just had a farmer's market earlier last week, and I tried to get in, but it was the traffic was just bumper to bumper to get there, and then when you got there you had to be in a line, of course, waiting with the obligatory 6 feet between you and the person in front of you and the person behind you. So I didn't actually go. But you know, if you talk to a farmer, he will tell you that if you want to plow a straight furrow, you can't look to the left or to the right, and worse yet, you can't look behind you, because if you do, you find yourself zigzagging all over the field. And so what Jesus, the master teacher, was saying was, when you set your intention, you have to keep your eye on the goal, on what it is you wish to achieve. And so this brings me to your assignment. Your assignment, and I think Reverend Michael, in introducing me, promised you that I would give you one. Your assignment is inspired by Reverend Michael Record's lovely poem, To Do Today, which I believe he shared with you in the beginning. But let me repeat it for you. To do today. End a quarrel, write a letter. Tell peace sorry, help a beggar. Keep that promise, give a smile. Say I love you, walk a mile. Rake the driveway, own my wrong, renew a friendship, sing a song. Forgive my neighbor, buy a flower, order in lunch, take things slower. Get home early, call my dad, walk in garden, thank you God. And so friends, your assignment, your mission, should you decide to undertake it this week, is to revisit your goals and ask yourself, what is it that you want to do? What are your original and most important intents and purpose when this season of dormancy is over? And in fact, you don't have to wait for the season to be over to start reliving and revitalizing and re-energizing your goals. You can start doing that today. So ask yourself, what is your first priority? Not your husband's or wife's, not your children's priorities for you, or your best friend. What is your priority for yourself, my friends? Write down that priority and see if you can identify the values that support it. For example, one of my priorities is the spread of truth and the involvement of you all in this ministry known as the Temple of Light Center for Spiritual Living, the Ministry of Science of Mind and Spirit. And the value that I think drives my intent is a deep belief in the importance and sacredness of community. I think that is so important. And our Thriving Ministry Council here at the Temple of Light has spearheaded what we're calling a love circle, where we call each other just to say hello and to offer support and encouragement and words of wholeness and goodwill to each other. And so this has been really an important part of our keeping together as a community during this time of social separation. And I'd like to recommend that you might do the same. If you think of someone that you haven't spoken to for a long time, give them a ring. Invite them to watch our love stream on a Sunday morning at 9 o'clock with you, and perhaps afterwards to share what you have learned, what was your takeaway from the message, and keep that circle of love growing and glowing in your homes and in your hearts and in your associations. You know, my friends, all of us want to be happy, fulfilled and successful in life, to express love without obstruction, and to live lives from God's highest possibilities, to really nurture those seeds that are within us. But to do this, we have to remember that we must stay focused on the goal. As someone said once to me, and I quote, "When I'm up to my backside in alligators, it's hard to remember that my original intention was to drain the swamp." So we need to keep our minds on the original intention and not forget why we're here and what we are here to do. Let me give you 3 steps to getting your priorities straight. The first step I want to share is living in the now, living in the present. Live in the present moment. Every morning on awakening, ask yourself, what are my priorities today? And there's an interesting exercise you can do. Just observe for yourself this week how you get out of bed, how you wake up. Are you one of those people that just jump up and head for the bathroom? Are you one of those that sit on the side of the bed and gather your thoughts for a few moments? Or do you lie in bed, although you're awake, and stretch? And what sounds do you make? Do you groan? Do you sigh? say like some people, oh God, morning, good God, it's morning. And other people say, good morning, God, to greet the day. So watch yourself and how you begin your day, because how you begin your day sets the tone for the entire day, believe me. So first thing in the morning, I usually say to people, I make up my bed and I make up my mind. And often if I don't have time to make up the bed, or I'm not bothered to do that, I am sure to make up my mind about what kind of day I want to have. And one of the things that one must do is fill your consciousness, ask God to fill your consciousness with every idea you need. So just as you are waking up, say, what can I bring to life today? What is mine to do? Ask God, just say, Father, Mother of the universe, what is mine to do today to make life worthwhile for myself, for my loved ones, and for the whole world? You know, my friends, order is heaven's first law. So don't clutter your thoughts with business that is not current or congruent with your values and with your objectives for the day. Pause frequently during your day and say, I know you're here for me, God, and I am here for you. I know you are here for me, God, and I am here for you. So live that in every single moment, and just keep reminding yourself throughout the day that you are a co-creator with that presence and power that knows no obstacles at all, and that when you set your intention, the entire universe moves to support you in what you intend to do and to accomplish. The second idea I want to share with you in accomplishing your intent and to getting your priorities straight is to simplify your life. And this time has really taught me that all the things I thought were important don't necessarily matter all that much. Use the metaphysical KISS method, K-I-S-S. Keep it spiritually simple. Dr. Ernest Holmes, the founder of our great teaching known as the Science of Mind and Spirit, writes, and I quote, if one would take time once a day at least to let go of all that is not true and lay hold of reality, one's mental congestion would be healed. End of that quote. My friends, you can choose to give your energy only to those ideas that support your original intent. You can choose not to flood your consciousness with the COVID panic and fear that is just rampant and threatening to overwhelm all of us, and feast instead on the truth that you have the seeds of perfection within you and that life wants you to succeed if you just set your priorities and keep your eye focused on the goals that you have for yourself. One of the Temple of Light members just posted on our Facebook page a lovely tribute to Ernest Holmes' book, this thing called You. And she said, it's been a lifesaver in this time. So choose an inspiring piece of spiritual literature and spend an hour reading every day. And if sometimes you have books, at least I do, that you think, I'll get around to reading them. Now is a good time to do that. And also choose a passage from the Bible and just read it for yourself every day. You will find it brings you great comfort. So first, I want you to live in the now. Second, simplify your life, clear out the clutter. And thirdly, do not, and I want to repeat this, do not be moved by appearances. You know, it's so easy to get sidetracked and knocked off of our intent by what seems to be happening out there in the world. We have problems because we don't get the priorities straight, or we get caught up in the so-called facts. Let me give you an example. Perhaps you are one of the many people who have been laid off because of the current pandemic. But you are not dismayed because you have been listening to the live stream on the Temple of Light, and you know that their outer appearances are not necessarily going to affect you in the way that you don't want. If you just keep your focus on what is true about you, that God is your source, not the job that you have been laid off from. And you have an idea to start a new business, but you are in the line at the bank here in Jamaica They're only letting in 10 people at a time. So you're standing in the line outside, and there's the obligatory distance between you, and there are 2 people in the line ahead of you, and they're talking through their masks, so they're talking really loudly, you can't help hearing them. And one is saying, boy, we saw it, the economy gone to hell. And the other one is agreeing. And other people in the line too with their masks on are nodding, you know, and you think, oh yes, that's true. Mind you, they're not talking to you, but you can't help hearing them, and you begin to absorb this negative, this shadow, this dark feeling that, you know, things are not well. And the one who started the conversation says, boy, as we say in Jamaica, this is not no time to start no business, you know. Wow. You can just feel your emotions deflating and your energy and your enthusiasm waning. Don't let it affect you. Reaffirm immediately, God is my source, and within me are the seeds of God's perfection. So I will know what to do and when to do it and how to do it. This is very important, my friends. And I want to just quote you from Ralph Waldo Emerson, the American essayist, lecturer, and philosopher and poet, who led the Transcendentalist movement in the mid-19th century in America. Emerson said, and I quote, "Our globe, as seen by God, is a transparent law, not a mass of facts. The law dissolves the facts and holds them fluid." The law dissolves the facts and holds them fluid, unquote. You know, once upon a time it was a fact that the world was flat. So facts change. And you see, appearances come and go. But only the truth, my friends, is eternal and brings success, happiness, and fulfillment. Deepak Chopra, whom I mentioned earlier, gives this powerful affirmation, and I quote, "I am the pure awareness in which all appearances arise and subside." Just play the observer role. You are the pure awareness of God, and you're just observing all circumstances arising and subsiding. Everything comes to pass, and only truth endures forever. At the University of Tower Street, which is my pet name for the adult correctional facility for men here in Kingston, where for the past 7 years, Reverend Michael Record and I have conducted a 12-week class titled Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life. One of the participants expressed his intention to begin pig farming upon his release from prison, and to use the earnings from that business to hold classes for the youth, to mentor youth in his district, classes similar to the one that we were doing with them. Well, that's a very noble intent, isn't it? And the class was all nodding their approval, except for one cynical young man who said, "Huh, you're going to raise pigs, eh? Well, I was turned down for parole 3 times, and you are a lifer. Where are you going to raise the pig them in your cell?" You could just see the participant who had expressed this desire to have a pig farm and to use the earnings to help the youth to avoid getting into the same situation that he was in. You could see him just becoming deflated. And so I focused the class. I said, let us applaud his intent to help the youth when he gets out. Mark, you know he's on life. Well, my friends, we always say, with God. Just remember this and hold this in your heart. With God, all things are possible. Well, you know, 2 weeks later, he bounces into class. And what do you think has happened? Out of the blue, as we say, for no apparent reason, he didn't apply for it. He's on a life sentence. He was summoned to the parole board and given his freedom. Now, we don't know how that happens. We don't even want to speculate. But that is a true story. And it has happened in several classes that we have had, where people unexpectedly, having set their intention for their lives and having determined their life's purpose, find that the universe has moved to validate their intentions and their purpose and to make it happen. So my friends, we in the New Thought movement have a teaching which keeps us centered in the knowledge that movement and change lead to a greater awareness and a greater expansion of ourselves. It's just such an important thing for us to remember that we are part of the creation of a paradigm based on spiritual principles. And that principle is that God is the only presence, the only power. There is nothing but God. There is no power that is opposed to God. Just hold close to that certain assurance that God is at the center and that God has endowed us with the seeds of perfection. And all we need to do is to nurture those seeds by setting our priorities and keeping our eye focused on our goals. So now is the time that we want to keep our eyes single, as it says in the Bible, and not get caught up in appearances. You and I are being invited to accept a very important assignment as the midwives who will encourage and facilitate the birth of a new way of life, a new way of thinking, a new way of relating, and a new way of being in the world. People have been talking about the new norm. The new norm is love. The new norm is deeper caring for the human condition. The new norm is holding hands, however, albeit virtually, across the expanses of this world, saying, I validate you, I love you, I appreciate you, I lift you up, my brother, my sister, my spiritual sangha, my spiritual family. I support you in all that you do and all that you wish to accomplish. And so in addition to giving you an assignment, which I always do, I've given myself an assignment this week. If you are celebrating a birthday this month, please post your date in May on our Facebook page. And I'm going to do a treatment for you now, which is your birthday blessing for the month, for everybody who's celebrating a birthday in May. But in addition, every morning on Awakening, when I'm doing my personal prayer work, I will pray for those names that appear on that date, so that every morning your birthday will be acknowledged and the universe will be told that the seeds of perfection within you are growing to the honor and glory of God. So for your birthday blessing, would you please just put your hand on your heart right now and tune in to this amazing energy we call love. Love right there, burning, beating at the center of your being. Right there beneath your palm is the bridge to God, where the seeds of perfection have been sown with such love. And so I know for those celebrating a birthday this month that God is their experience. God is the way of their heart and the heart of their way. I know that each person celebrating a birthday this month sets their priorities straight, and that priority has God at the very center, and that the universe is moving to support their deepest and dearest desires. I know for those celebrating a birthday this month that from the center of their being to the circumference of their conscious awareness, they live, move, and manifest life in a victorious state of fulfillment to the honor and glory of God. And so the universe says, happy birthday. And we at the Temple of Light Center for Spiritual Living say, happy birthday. And all of life says, we are so glad you came. We're so glad you answered the call to be here at this special time in the history of humankind. God bless you. God loves you. And so do we all. And we give thanks that this is truly so. And so it is.
That was really an inspiring message by Reverend John. I was listening keenly to it, and I really enjoyed it, Reverend John. I'm sure that the audience did as well. You will notice that Reverend John said that we should always keep our focus on our true nature, which is God's perfect expression. That is one of the many takeaways that I have from the talk. And I will be remembering that as the week progresses. And it is now my pleasure to introduce the musical item for the service. And it is Amber Shaban's singing God and God Alone.
is God's and God alone. God and God alone is fit to take the universe is strong. Let everything that lives resolve its truest praise for God and God alone. God and God alone will be the joy of our eternal home. He will be our one desire, our hearts will never tire of God and God alone. And God alone is fit to take the universe's throne. Let everything that lives resolve its truest praise for God and God alone. Is fit to take the universe's throne. Let everything that lives resolve its truest praise for God and God alone. Let everything that lives resolve its truest
That was a really beautiful song by Ambusher Vans, God and God Alone. It's actually one of my favorites. Really enjoyed that one, and I'm sure that you did as well. And now, as we get close to the end of the service, I'd like you to join me in the affirmative prayer. Again, it will be a prayer of thanksgiving. Please join me. In this moment of now, we know that God is all there is. We know that we are united with God. We know that we are open and receptive, here and now, to the outpouring of God's blessings. And those blessings include the blessings of peace, of joy, of laughter, of harmony, of abundance. That blessing includes the blessing of love, because we know that it is love which girds us together, love which is the foundation of this universe, love out of which this service this morning flowed from the Temple of Light Center for Spiritual Living in Kingston, Jamaica. And as we go our separate ways, we take with us a knowledge that we have been blessed, that we have made one more step towards that goal of unfoldment, that goal of uniting with life with God, that we are always moving towards. We know that the blessings of God to which we are open and receptive right now includes the best blessings of peace, of harmony, of abundance, the blessings of goodwill towards men, the blessings above all, the blessing of love. It is love which binds us together. It is love which is the foundation of our lives, the foundation of this universe. We take that awareness with us, and we know that because of this service, we have been blessed. The world has been blessed. We are all connected. I know that this is a truth, and I release my words to the law of mind, and I give thanks that as I have spoken, it is so, and so it is. And now, I would like to introduce you to our peace song.